Hi, is this the De Vasconcelos house?
Who wants to know?
I could tell the old coot was going to be trouble. My name's George Stobart. I was wondering whether...
The house is not open to the public.
This is the De Vasconcelos house.
And what business is that of yours, senor?
Look, all I want is to speak to the head of the household.
There is no household. Only the Countess and myself.
Tell me about the Countess de Vasconcelos.
She doesn't receive guests. That's all you need to know.
You don't even know what I have to talk to her about.
She hasn't won the lottery, has she?
Yeah, that's it. The Countess has won the lottery, and I'm here to give her the check.
Marvelous. May I see it?
No. No, I have to deliver it to her in person.
The Countess doesn't do the lottery.
Oh, for crying out loud, why'd you lead me on then?
To amuse myself. To make you look a fool. To make you go away.
What do you know about the Templars?
Who wants to know?
Are you angling for a bribe or something?
You have nothing that I want, senor, except the pleasure of your absence.
The guy was obviously protecting the Countess against the whole world. But why? Do you recognize this man?
No.
This lab pass mean anything to you?
Nothing.
Have you got any use for a fistful of plaster?
No.
Look at this tissue.
It's a tissue with some greasy muck on it.
Yes, that's right. I don't suppose this red nose means anything to you, does it?
Ah! El Flojo!
El who?
El Flojo! He is a clown on state television.
Oh, is he any good?
He is as funny as scabies, without the laughs.
Do you know what this is?
See, I have a similar tool for opening culverts on the estate.
What do you make of this?
So that's it. You're a salesman.
If I was hawking medical supplies, I can think of better places to hawk them. Would you like to shake hands?
I do not think so, senor.
Okay. Well, I'll see you around.
Adios.
The main part of the house was old, but nowhere near as old as the gatehouse section. The older part of the house looked like the remains of a castle gatehouse. Was this what the clues were pointing to? I couldn't get in that way.
Hey, you.
Yeah? What is it?
You would not like it if people just wandered into your home, would you?
Well, no, I guess not.
Then show a little consideration.
Okay. Sorry. The hose ran from some sort of utility room all the way to the lawn. I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone. guard and gardener. Yet he still managed to find time to be a pain in the butt. How did he do it? Hello again.
You again.
Yep, and it's a real bonus to see your smiling face, too. Do you know what this is?
See, I have a similar tool for opening culverts on the estate.
I'll be going for now.
Adios, senor.
I'm no student of architecture, but the little building looked old. I wondered if it was some sort of summer house. Over the doorway was a statue of a hooded figure bearing a cross. It looked kind of sinister. The door was a handsome piece of work, in keeping with the ornateness of the rest of the building. Rats! It's locked. From a distance, I thought it might be a summer house. Close up, I wasn't so sure. I didn't want to mess with the building. I wasn't about to go clambering on rooftops if I didn't have to. The statue on the top of the building looked like the one in the Parisian church. He seemed to be looking out to sea. For what? I wanted to go swimming, but I didn't have the time. Down below the estate, I could see the sea stretching away. It was a beautiful sight, and looked a lot like the scene from the manuscript. Hello again.
You again.
Yep, and it's a real bonus to see your smiling face, too. Okay. Well, I'll see you around.
Adios.
I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone. The hose ran from some sort of utility room all the way to the lawn. Down the long, dusty driveway was a road along which a bus traveled maybe twice a day. I knew because I'd arrived on one. And no way was I leaving until I'd got something concrete to show Nico. I couldn't get in that way. It was then I realized I'd left home without my pocket siege engine. It was then I realized I'd left home without my pocket siege engine. It was then I realized I'd left home without my pocket siege engine. The main part of the house was old, but nowhere near as old as the gatehouse section.
Hey, you.
Yes?
I've already told you. You are not allowed in the house. Understand?
Uh, okay.
My horse has stopped.
Yeah?
See, my horse never stops.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it. It's always sad when an old tradition comes to an end.
Did you have anything to do with it? See, you.
Well, I'm shocked. I'm mortified. How could you think such a thing?
Very easily, senor. Very easily. I'm going to find out why my horse has stopped. And that means going into the house. You are not, absolutely not, to go in the house. If you do go in the house, I will set the dogs on you.
I didn't like the idea of carrying 30 yards of hose around me, so I left it alone. The pressure sleeve had done a good job of closing off the hose. I could see the gardener trying to figure out what was wrong with the hose. Time for cat-footed stealthiness. I love suits of armor. Who doesn't? The armor was about my size. I had a mental vision of putting it on and clanking off to see the Countess, with the gardener hanging hopelessly on the outside trying to stop me. Apart from being stupid and unworkable, it was a great plan. I hid behind the armor and waited for developments.
Hey, you. I know you are there, American. All right, you dogs. I'm coming.
It was just a little utility room with no exit, unless you counted the window, and I didn't. It was a small mirror hanging over the sink. From the scum in the sink, it looked like he shaved there. I didn't want a pot plant. There was a big aspidistra sitting on a table in the hall. A big chandelier, studded with plain white candles. Probably pretty impressive when all lit up. And it must keep the moth population down. I couldn't go up there.
Madre Dios, who are you?
My name's George Stobart. I'm sorry to burst in like this.
You must leave at once. You're not wanted here.
Please, if you'd just listen a minute.
Very well. State your business, Senor Stobart.
There's been a series of murders, part of some conspiracy. Anyway, the trail led me here.
Here? There is nothing for the outside world here.
Over 600 years ago there was.
What do you mean?
This whole thing ties in somehow with the Knights Templar.
The Knights Templar are dust.
They had a secret that was so important, they went to a lot of trouble to hide it.
I do not see what this has to do with my family.
Your family had a strong connection with the Templars, right? I believe that they've planted some clues here.
Why should I believe a complete stranger who barges into my home?
Just let me have a look around. If I find nothing...
You'll be spending the night at the police station. Very well. Please, sit down.
Thank you. I know your family is involved with the Templars, but I don't know how.
You should be asking how my family were involved, Senor Stobart. The Templars ceased to exist centuries ago. And as for the Vasconcelos, the line dies with me.
I'm sorry.
Don't be.
Okay, whatever happened almost 700 years ago. So, if the Templars left any clues, they're going to be in stuff that dates back to the early 14th century.
Obviously.
So, what do you have around here that's early medieval?
Early medieval. Let me think. Well, the house is relatively modern, a scant 3 centuries old. Or, of course, the chess set.
That chess set is over 600 years old? It must be worth a fortune.
Indeed it is. Not that I would part with it, of course.
No, I wouldn't either. That's the sort of thing that gets handed down to your children. Sorry.
Its value is less than you might think. The set is not complete. One of the pieces is a modern replacement. As to the original, it was lost a long time ago.
Nobody has any idea where it is?
No. The children had it when they were taken.
Children? What children?
All in good time, Senor Stobart.
May I examine the chess set?
Certainly. But do not move any of the pieces.
Okay, thanks. Close up, the modern piece stood out like a sore thumb. There was something else odd about the set. All of the original pieces had irregular bases.
My lady, I have to warn you, there's a... You! Why, I'll feed you to the dogs.
Lopez, what have I told you about feeding intruders to the dogs?
But, my lady...
Never without my permission. Senor Stobart, if I find that you're wasting my time, you will be fed to the dogs. Now, I want to show you something interesting. Follow me. Lopez, unlock the door, por favor. This is the only remaining structure on the estate contemporary with the Templars.
Nice. What is it, a summer house?
A mausoleum, Senor Stobart.
Oh.
Come with me.
Hey, senor,
Yeah?
I do not know what you have told my lady to be shown these favors, but I do not trust you.
You've got nothing to worry about. Aren't you coming in?
No, the dead do not interest me. My garden is a living thing. I will be there.
Wow, this is old.
It was constructed in the 13th century as the final resting place for the De Vasconcelos Templars.
It's well maintained.
These are my ancestors, and they deserve respect. I come here at least once a week to say a prayer for them.
Mind if I have a look around?
By all means.
The mausoleum contained 5 tombs for 5 of the Knights Templar, man-size in marble. I wasn't about to start heaving at sarcophagus lids with the Countess standing there. Hanging from the ceiling was a huge yellowed candle. It looked really old and had never been lit. I couldn't reach up there. A big statuette of the Virgin Mary kept an eye on the place. It was too delicate to move. High up in the dome were windows. I guessed they might open them to make it less stuffy in there. I couldn't climb up there without breaking something. In front of the shrine was a lectern with a Bible on it. On removing the Bible, I found a pattern on the lectern top. Hey, it's a checkerboard! The lectern top had a pattern of glass squares on it. Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard pattern. Some of the squares had little jagged holes in the middle. Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard pattern. Some of the squares had little jagged holes in the middle. It was a rod with a cone and a hook on the end. I guessed it was for snuffing out the big candle in the chandelier. Now what? There was nothing to snuff. Feeling like an idiot, I put it down again. May I ask you something?
You may ask.
That's a big candle. Where would you buy a thing like that from?
You could not. It is an antique, unique to my knowledge.
Just how old is it?
It dates from the Middle Ages, when the Moors controlled Spain. The candle was to be lit as a signal to the estate workers if the Moors attacked.
Who exactly are these people?
My ancestors. These 5 men were all members of the Templars.
5 ancestors in the order. You must be very proud.
Not 5, 6.
Where's the 6th knight?
He was lost to us.
You lost an ancestor?
It is a family matter. It can have no relevance.
Well, it's connected with the curse of the De Vasconcelos, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I hope you will honor my desire not to talk about it.
Okay, well, I'll leave it for now. Is the Virgin Mary really the right person to be sharing a mausoleum with 5 knights?
You are showing your ignorance, Senor Stobart. The Templars were dedicated to the Virgin Mary.
You certainly know your history.
What's your opinion of the Templars, Senor Stobart?
The Templars? Well, they seem no worse than a lot of the knightly orders.
You are mistaken. Compared to the simpering politicians of the Hospitallers or the brutish Teutonics, the Knights Templar were the embodiment of chivalry, the filthy, money-grabbing French king and his pet pope did a great wrong. A bane settled upon my family at the whim of that self-seeking tyrant.
It was all a long time ago.
Some things don't die. Injustice is one of them.
Maybe not. Does this lab pass mean anything to you?
Nothing at all.
Do you know what this is?
No, it looks very practical, though.
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
Oh, dear. El Flojo.
That would be the TV clown, yeah?
Clown in all important aspects. Apart from the one about being funny.
Does this tissue mean anything to you?
Where is this line of questioning going?
Nowhere helpful. Do you recognize this man?
No, I have never seen him before in my life. Who is he?
I've got a couple of names for him, but they're probably false. He's the killer.
No, his face is utterly unfamiliar.
Would you like to shake hands?
A formal bow will suffice.
What's the story with the glass chessboard?
Glass chessboard. Oh, the pattern on the lectern, purely decorative, I'm sure.
There are pieces of glass missing from it.
Oh, it has been like that since I was a girl.
The gaps in the glass chessboard look awfully deliberate.
No, it is ridiculous. What possible significance can it have?
It's part of a chessboard, and the gaps are for...
Senor Stobart. You cannot mean...
This place was built for the Templars. Your chess set is as old as the Templars. It's kind of suggestive, isn't it? I think this must be it. This is what the manuscript is pointing to.
This is extraordinary. Am I to understand that the Templars left a puzzle here? And in all of this time we failed to realize that there was a puzzle?
It was wonderful to watch the Countess change before my eyes.
Right. Well, no time for wallowing in self-pity, eh, Senor Stobart? This mystery has had a good long run, but it ends here and now.
All those years of fatalism were falling away from her.
Lopez! Lopez! Put that hold down and listen! Go to the house and get my chess set! Yes! The old chess set! Oh, damn the game! Now, hurry! My, this is exciting, is it not?
Don't get too excited. This could be a blind alley.
Oh, I do not believe that for a moment.
It's good to see you happy.
Happy? You know, I think I am.
While we're waiting, I'd really like to know what happened here. I mean, the curse and everything?
It all began at the time of the dissolution of the Templars. Don Carlos had already left their ranks to become a scholar.
Don Carlos, is he the guy who went missing?
Si, but he had reckoned without the local bishop. The bishop envied us our lands and determined to use the papal edict as an excuse to destroy us. Don Carlos was on one of his scholarly journeys when the Inquisition arrived. When Don Carlos returned, it was to find his loyal manservant slain and his children gone.
They took the kids? But why?
Oh, we will never know. The bishop denied all knowledge of the children's disappearance. But witnesses had seen his men kill the servant who had been charged to protect them.
What happened to Don Carlos?
He swore he'd find his children if he had to go to the edge of the world. He put on his armor and took up his sword and shield and rode out alone. He was never seen again. Ah, Lopez, you have the pieces.
Si, my lady, as you asked.
Por favor, Senor Stobart, would you be so kind?
My lady,
Calm yourself, Lopez. I believe Senor Stobart's motives are pure.
very well, my lady. My lady seems to trust you.
But you don't.
No, senor.
It fits, Senor Stobart. It fits.
Working quickly, I found which pieces went into which holes.
Senor Stobart, look!
What is that? It's not the Holy Grail, is it?
No, Senor Stobart. It is the communion chalice of the De Vasconcelos, missing for almost 700 years.
Wow. Well, go on.
I cannot. I can hardly believe it is real.
Go ahead. Live a little.
Are you sure? This is your moment of triumph, Senor Stobart.
Sure, I'm sure. The possibility of death traps only occurred to me a few days later.
So the curse of the De Vasconcelos is lifted?
Oh no, the Countess was thrilled to find the lost chalice, but there's still the riddle of the missing knight.
Well, you can forget about that now and get back to finding the Templar's secret.
Actually, I promised the Countess I'd find Don Carlos.
You what?
I can explain everything.
You have got the odds for a withered old Spanish aristocrat?
The Countess entrusted me with the chalice and the quest for her ancestor's tomb.
You're as crazy as she is. Haven't you got enough problems? Khan and the Templars?
It's all part of the same thing. The chalice is important, I'm sure. The manuscript pointed us to the knight, and I have to find him.
What then?
I don't know. But when the knight and the chalice are reunited, maybe I will. This is the chalice I discovered in Spain.
I still can't figure out why the Countess gave it to you. After losing it for all those years, she simply gave it away to a total stranger? She's one prawn short of a paella.
The Countess is a fine lady. You shouldn't compare her with seafood.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something going on between you and that Countess.
Are you serious? She's old enough to be my grandmother. Did I show you the chalice?
Yes, yes, you did.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. That's the face of the statue I saw at the bull's head. That's the lens I found on Klausner's body in the bull's head. That's the tripod we borrowed from the museum. That's the gem that Pegram found in Lochmarn. That's the clue that led me to Spain. There's a woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection has 3 hideous faces. That's the clue that led me to the bull's head in Syria. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Okay.
Oh, hi.
Hello, my handsome friend.
Maybe not. See you later.
That's right, monsieur. You will.
Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie. Where have you been? Nicole said you were away.
I just returned from Syria.
Syria? On the trail of the Templars?
It's a long story, but I found the bull's head. It was referred to on the manuscript, remember?
Yes. What is it?
A secret cave built into a high cliff face. In the cave, I discovered a map bearing a phrase in Latin. In accidenta sita est in ora mundi.
The island of Britain.
Lies at the edge of the world to the west.
Strange. That map seems to contain a series of pointers.
Like I said, it's a treasure map. What do you make of this cup, Andre?
It's a 14th century communion vessel. Spanish, probably.
You sure know your onions. Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
I think he suspected me of being the mysterious Sieur Jacques. And the last thing I needed at the moment was to be arrested for crimes against public sanitation. Hello again, Father.
Bonjour, monsieur. How pleasant to speak to you again.
What do you make of this chalice?
It certainly looks very old.
About as old as this church, I think.
There seems to be an engraving on it.
Yeah? What does it say?
I do not know. It is very tarnished. With your permission, I could try polishing it. I promise I will be very careful.
That'd be very good of you.
This shouldn't take very long. Feel free to look around.
Okay, thanks. A priest stood by the pews, energetically polishing something. I didn't have time to sit around. Hello again, Father. Hey, thanks.
It is my pleasure, monsieur.
What was the writing on the chalice?
It was not writing, my mistake. It was a coat of arms. The remarkable thing is that it seems very familiar.
Yeah?
Oui, I think I have seen it on that wall tomb in the far corner. That winged horse is quite distinctive.
Boy, what a shine you got on this!
Merci. It is all in the wrist action.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Now that my attention had been drawn to it, there was no mistake. There was no name on it, but the coat of arms was undeniably the Pegasus of the De Vasconcelos family. I'd found the last resting place of Don Carlos. My eye was drawn to the biblical references carved into the edge of the tomb. Hey, maybe these biblical references mean something. Psalms 32:7, John 4:11, Corinthians 1:4-5, and just one more, Psalms 22:21. I may not be perfect, but I've got a memory like a steel trap. The chalice had led me to these inscriptions, but it looked like a happy coincidence to me. After all, the De Vasconcelos arms were already on the manuscript. Nope, I was still convinced that the chalice had some significance all of its own. The tomb of Don Carlos de Vasconcelos. It had to be. I couldn't wait to tell the Countess. I'd have to find out what the chalice was for first, though. Okay, let's have another look at those references. Psalms 32:7, John 4:11, Corinthians 1:4-5, and just one more, Psalms 22:21. The chalice had led me to these inscriptions, but it looked like a happy coincidence to me. I was still convinced that the chalice had some significance all of its own. Hello again, Father.
Bonjour, monsieur. How pleasant to speak to you again.
Boy, what a shine you got on this!
Merci. It is all in the wrist action.
Catch you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I didn't have time to sit around. A row of old pews, beautifully carved and glowing with polish. I thought of all the people who must have sat here over the decades. All those Parisian derrieres, firm buttocks of the young ladies, the flabby flesh of the old men. That wasn't a pleasing image, so I went back to the young ladies. Whoa! On the end of the staff was some kind of disc with a cross on it. Around the base of the disc was a hairline crack. Well, I could have just taken the end off the staff, but I wanted to be sure what I'd be getting out of vandalizing a church, other than deported. A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell. A Knight Templar burning at the stake, and a date. A huge stained glass window formed a magnificent centerpiece for its neighbors. To think of the long centuries that had kept it secret. All the thousands of people who must have been through here and seen it without once suspecting. Just think, there's a dead guy under there. Waiting in prayer for the judgment day. Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie.
While I was in Syria, I discovered a strange pagan statue. It was like a head with 3 bearded faces. Horrible.
That sounds as if it could be Baphomet, the idol described by the Templars.
The poor Knights of Christ had an idol that looked like that?
Allegedly, the description of the idol came from the evidence extracted by the Inquisition. Mind you, not one statue or idol was ever found on Templar property. Until now, that is. Just last month, a statue of Baphomet was unearthed right here in Paris.
Where?
At the Institut Hermétique de Nerval. The statue is beneath the foundations. It was discovered by some workmen while renovating the building.
Can you tell me any more about the statue of Baphomet?
It's a fearful image, even now, a bearded head. The base of the statue is carved with Templar symbols. One of the workmen noticed a curious stain at the base. He claimed it looked like blood.
Blood?
That's right.
What do you make of this cup, Andre?
It's a 14th century communion vessel. Spanish, probably.
You sure know your onions. Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
The painter didn't seem to regard the painting as too important. Not as important as a cigarette break, anyway. Excuse me, could you help me?
What is it?
I've got a few questions. You're doing a fine job.
Merci. I have my professional pride.
I don't think I've ever seen a Gauloise smoke so stylishly.
It's a natural talent.
I'm being sarcastic.
I'm being indifferent.
You're very good at that as well.
Merci. Vive l'indifférence.
So, what are you doing here?
I am having my break.
Yeah, I mean when you finish your break.
Oh, when I finish my break, an interesting concept, monsieur.
You'll probably need to think about it.
I could have another cigarette while I consider. Perhaps tomorrow too?
Okay, let me put things differently. What were you hired to do here?
I was hired to keep the archaeological dig in the basement of this building clear of debris, and to touch up damage to the door frames with my little pot of paint. It's a very responsible job. Unfortunately, I'm not a very responsible person.
So what do you know about the excavation?
I know they won't let me in to do my job. I would complain to my union, but là,
You couldn't be bothered to join.
right. Tell you what, though. I'm surprised at the sort of people interested in this excavation.
What's unusual about the visitors to the excavation?
None of them look like archaeologists to me.
Do you know what an archaeologist looks like?
Three-piece suits, crocodile-eyed attaché cases, Rolex oyster.
But no archaeologist dresses like that.
Quite right, monsieur, quite right.
So, who are they?
Who cares as long as they pay me?
What does the word Templar suggest to you?
Templar?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Have you seen this man before?
Yes, he asked me a lot of questions, just like you.
Have you seen this man before?
Yes, he asked me a lot of questions, just like you. A greasy tissue. Don't get it too close to my cigarette, monsieur, or there'll be a conflagration.
I have a red nose.
Imagine.
I've got a sewer key.
I used to work in the sewer.
Oh? What happened?
I had a cigarette break in a pocket of methane. A manhole cover landed on the other side of the Seine and I was sacked.
Has a guy calling himself Merlin been nosing around?
Was he wearing a t-shirt with "My name is Merlin" on it?
I doubt it.
Then how the hell am I supposed to know his name just by looking at him? Huh?
I have some plaster of Paris.
Amazing.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Yes, it's a communion chalice. I know, you know, I used to be an altar boy.
You?
Yes, me. What's so funny about that?
Nothing. I was pretty sure the shaken shock had shot its bolt in Syria. Be seeing you.
Au revoir, monsieur.
The archway was topped by a fancy balustrade. Oh, darn. I'd left my grappling hook at home. No way could I get up there. There was a dumpster full of debris. From the excavation, I guessed.
Hey, you! Get away from my dumpster.
The gate was surrounded by some pretty fancy ironwork. I couldn't climb over. There was a closed door with toilet scratched into the cheap veneer. There was a telephone on the far wall. A guard stood by a door I guessed led to the excavation. He looked pretty pompous. Well, not so much pretty, just pompous. A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. The radiator was pumping out heat as the thermostat was cranked right over to full. No wonder it was warm in here, even with the door open to the chill of fall. The doorway was full of assorted old tea chests, cardboard boxes, and so on, all empty and all uninteresting. The doorway led to an old utility closet that had lost its door. There was nothing interesting in there. I couldn't imagine what I'd achieved by turning the dial. That guard had been put here to guard something. My guess was that the excavation was behind that door. Hi? Excuse me?
Oui?
So, what exactly are you doing here?
I'm guarding. You expect to find me shearing sheep?
Take it easy. I just didn't realize you were a guard. I'd like to know what you're guarding, please.
That's a secret.
It wouldn't happen to be an archaeological site, would it?
Are you asking me or telling me?
I'm telling you.
Then why ask?
I had a feeling this was no normal hole in the ground. It sure is hot in here.
I have to have the door open to allow the workmen access, so why not? I turn the heat up.
You could wrap up warm.
I have my gloves if it gets cold, but why bother when it's warm anyway?
What do you know about the Knights Templar? There was a long pause during which the guard said nothing. Then he said,
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
Is this a test?
What, like a history pop test?
No, like a test.
Okay, yes, it's a test.
Then I know absolutely nothing about the Templars.
The guard was being amazingly evasive. It was going to take more than goodwill to get past him. I thought better of showing him the chalice. He might be on the conspiracy's payroll, and I didn't want to risk it.
Oui? You have...
A sudden urge to sing. Care to join me?
No, no singing in here.
I got this plaster from Ireland.
Not an exciting souvenir.
Do you recognize this name?
Merlin. No.
I was going to have to get rid of this thing. It was dead. This gadget is a sewer key.
So it is.
I've got a red nose.
Oh.
Look, a tissue stained with grease paint.
Ah, just what I've always wanted. If you give me that, you can enter through the door.
Really?
Of course not. What would I want with an old tissue?
Have you seen this man before?
Oh,
You have.
no.
Have you seen this man before?
Oh,
You have.
no.
Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Do you mind if I use the phone?
Be my guest. I'm paid to guard this door. The phone can look after itself.
Hi, Nico?
George, what have you discovered?
Nothing yet.
Nothing. Is something wrong?
No.
George, why are you calling me?
Oh, no reason. I just wanted to hear your voice.
You did. Well, this is my voice saying, don't bother me, I'm busy.
Oh. There was a closed door with toilet scratched into the cheap veneer.
That door's locked, monsieur.
I didn't think that the guard would just let me waltz past. Besides, I had a hunch that door was locked. The doorway was full of assorted old tea chests, cardboard boxes, and so on, all empty and all uninteresting. The doorway led to an old utility closet that had lost its door. There was nothing interesting in there. A dumpster with some debris in it. Yep, that was definitely debris. I couldn't see any use for a collection of dirt and half bricks. I turned the heating off. I turned the thermostat back to where I'd found it. Hi again.
What is it?
Trying to get into a locked washroom. I had the strongest feeling of déjà vu. I'd like to use the washroom, but the door's locked.
Oh, that's no problem. You can have the key.
Thanks. Here's the keys. Thanks.
Merci, monsieur.
I need to use the toilet again.
Again? Already?
I have this problem. How technical do you want me to get?
Never mind. Here's the key.
Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I turned the heating off. There was a ventilation grill up in the wall. I could have climbed onto the sink, prized the ventilator cover loose, wedged myself into the tiny hole, smashed the far cover out, and plunged headfirst into the next room. Or I could just go through the door like a sane person. A hand dryer was mounted on the wall. If the Club Alamet had used one of these instead of a roller towel, I'd probably still be stuck in Marib. A filthy wash basin hung on the wall. I didn't want to use that unless I really had to. Oh boy! Dirty soap! How do they do that? The taps were rusty. Oh boy! The cold taps washer looked to have failed. It was just dribbling down the sink. A bin stood in the corner. It didn't look like it had been emptied for a while. I wasn't that interested in what might go into a restroom's garbage to investigate. I didn't need to get near to tell the toilet needed cleaning. Being in a charming comfort station like this made me think fondly of the toilet in Syria. That place was kept in pretty good order. At least, it had been until I vandalized it. Still, it was all for a good cause. There was a big old boiler used for heating the building. The thing felt really hot. Big demands seemed to be being made on it. The shovel used to feed the furnace was stuck into the pile of coal. Capacious as my pockets were, I didn't figure I could cram a shovel in them. A huge pile of coal lay in the corner to fuel the boiler. Real high-tech stuff. I didn't want any coal. Capacious as my pockets were, I didn't figure I could cram a shovel in them. The thing felt really hot. Big demands seemed to be being made on it. The cold tap's washer looked to have failed. It was just dribbling down the sink. There was a big old boiler used for heating the building. Hi again.
What is it?
What was I supposed to say? Hey, look what I stole. Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. I'd turned the thermostat all the way down. It was getting pretty chilly. I didn't think that the guard would just let me waltz past. Besides, I had a hunch that door was locked.
Hey, monsieur, don't go with my keys.
I turned the thermostat back to where I'd found it. A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. The radiator was pumping out heat as the thermostat was cranked right over to full. No wonder it was warm in here, even with the door open to the chill of fall. The cold tap's washer looked to have failed. It was just dribbling down the sink. The taps were rusty. Oh, boy! I figured washing my hands with that soap in that sink would just get my hands dirtier than when I'd started. The thing felt really hot. Big demands seemed to be being made on it. It was a handful of plaster left in the castle by Pegram's archaeology team. Capacious as my pockets were, I didn't figure I could cram a shovel in them. I turned the heating off. A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. I'd turned the thermostat all the way down. It was getting pretty chilly. Hi again.
What is it?
It sure is hot in here.
I have to have the door open to allow the workmen access, so why not? I turn the heat up.
You could wrap up warm.
I have my gloves if it gets cold, but why bother when it's warm anyway?
Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
There was a closed door with toilet scratched into the cheap veneer. I made an impression of the big key and the cake of soap. I carefully sprinkled the plaster into the soap mold I'd made of the key. I had filled the key's imprint in the soap with dry plaster. Well, it had taken a while, but I had made myself a completely unconvincing plaster key, way too fragile to use in a lock. I'd have to substitute it for the real one. Trouble was, it looked like plaster and not metal. Then again, that plaster statue in Syria hadn't looked like stone until I'd been a bit artful with it. Maybe I could improve the key as well. It was my plaster copy of the excavation key. Trouble was, it looked like plaster, and it felt like plaster. Maybe not. Capacious as my pockets were, I didn't figure I could cram a shovel in them. The cold tap's washer looked to have failed. It was just dribbling down the sink. I didn't want to use that unless I really had to. The thing felt really hot. Big demands seemed to be being made on it. I didn't want any coal. The shovel used to feed the furnace was stuck into the pile of coal. A bin stood in the corner. It didn't look like it had been emptied for a while. That is not a good idea. No. Trouble was, it looked like plaster and not metal. Hi again.
What is it?
Here's the keys. Thanks.
Merci, monsieur.
Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Hi, it's me again.
What now?
I made this key out of plaster.
A thrilling. How clever! How pointless.
Gunmetal paint. Interesting.
Hey, monsieur! Get away from my paint pot!
Okay.
I should think so. Meddling with a man's paint pot. Pah!
A well-used wheelbarrow was sitting by the rubble-filled dumpster. Hi, it's me again.
What now?
I made this key out of plaster.
A thrilling. How clever! How pointless.
Be seeing you.
Au revoir, monsieur. Hey, you! Get away from my dumpster.
A well-used wheelbarrow was sitting by the rubble-filled dumpster. The painter didn't seem to regard the painting as too important. Not as important as a cigarette break, anyway. Gunmetal paint. Interesting.
Hey, monsieur! Get away from my paint pot!
Okay.
I should think so. Meddling with a man's paint pot. Pah!
Hi again.
What is it?
Hey, smart. Why don't I just tell him that I'm trying to break into the excavation? Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. The radiator was pumping out heat as the thermostat was cranked right over to full. No wonder it was warm in here, even with the door open to the chill of fall. I turned the heating off. A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. I'd turned the thermostat all the way down. It was getting pretty chilly. A dumpster with some debris in it. The archway was topped by a fancy balustrade. Oh, darn. I'd left my grappling hook at home. No way could I get up there. The painter didn't seem to regard the painting as too important. Not as important as a cigarette break, anyway. Hi, it's me again.
What now?
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Yes, it's a communion chalice. I know, I used to be an altar boy.
You?
Yes, me. What's so funny about that?
Nothing. Be seeing you.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I couldn't climb over.
Hey, monsieur! Get away from my paint pot!
Okay.
I should think so. Meddling with a man's paint pot. Pah!
A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. I'd turned the thermostat all the way down. It was getting pretty chilly. Yep, that was definitely debris. I couldn't see any use for a collection of dirt and half bricks. A dumpster with some debris in it.
Cooler.
Hi, Nico, it's me. I'm at the excavation site.
Goodbye, George.
No, wait a minute. I need your help.
What kind of help? I told you I'm busy.
This will only take a few minutes, I promise.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
I want you to keep somebody on the phone for a while.
Who?
A painter. I need to get at his pot.
Oh, okay.
Stay on the line. I'll go and get him. Hi, it's me again.
What now?
You've got a phone call.
For me? Are you certain?
It's a woman. She sounded hot.
What woman? She must be mistaken, monsieur.
Well, she asked for that hunk of a man with the nicotine fingers in his ass hanging out of his pants.
Certainly sounds like me. Stand back. It wouldn't do to keep the lady from her hunk. Well, monsieur, what a strange woman. She was all over me, and then suddenly, nothing but abuse.
Really?
What? Abuse? Ah, well, I have a cigarette to finish. And monsieur, if she calls again, I am not available.
Hi again.
What is it?
I need to use the toilet again.
Again? Already?
I have this problem. How technical do you want me to get?
Never mind. Here's the key.
Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I figured this was better done out of the guard's sight. Quickly and without fuss, I swapped the fake key for the real thing. It was the key to the excavation. Now, I'd substituted the fake key for the excavation key. It looked okay, but felt false. Hi again.
What is it?
I held my breath and hoped that he wouldn't notice the substitution. Here's the keys. Thanks.
Merci, monsieur.
It sure is hot in here.
I have to have the door open to allow the workmen access, so why not? I turn the heat up.
You could wrap up warm.
I have my gloves if it gets cold, but why bother when it's warm anyway?
Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I turned the heating off. Hi again.
What is it?
Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Hi, it's me again.
What now?
Maybe not. Be seeing you.
Au revoir, monsieur.
A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. I'd turned the thermostat all the way down. It was getting pretty chilly. I turned the thermostat back to where I'd found it. A guard stood by a door I guessed led to the excavation. He looked pretty pompous. Well, not so much pretty, just pompous. Hi again.
What is it?
It sure is hot in here.
I have to have the door open to allow the workmen access, so why not? I turn the heat up.
You could wrap up warm.
I have my gloves if it gets cold, but why bother when it's warm anyway?
Talk to you later.
Au revoir, monsieur.
I turned the heating off. I turned the thermostat back to where I'd found it. I turned the heating off. That guard had been put here to guard something. My guess was that the excavation was behind that door. I didn't think that the guard would just let me waltz past. Besides, I had a hunch that door was locked. A thermostat was mounted over a radiator. I'd turned the thermostat all the way down. It was getting pretty chilly. Hi, Nico. It's me again.
I'd guessed. What do you want this time?
What did you say to the painter?
I shan't repeat it, Josh.
Look, I need to get the guard out of the way. Could you call back and ask him to get the painter again?
Okay, I'll call back soon.
This looked like a good place to watch things develop.
Hey, you! It's the phone.
Yeah? Who is it?
How should I know? What am I, your social secretary?
It's not a chick, is it?
Yes, it's a woman. Are you going to answer it?
Does she have a warm, sensual voice like molten chocolate?
Yes, yes, she has a really sexy voice. Now get a move on.
I'm not talking to her.
I can see that. You're wasting time talking to me.
No, you don't understand. I refuse to talk to her.
You refuse. You refuse. I'm wasting valuable time.
Don't make me laugh. Your time valuable? You just stand around all day.
I have a highly responsible job. Ha! Don't me, you elephantine oaf. My job is important.
Impossible. They would have hired somebody competent in that case.
Meaning what?
Instead of which they hired a dismal rent-a-cop like you. All epaulettes and no brains.
Why, you...
This looked set to carry on for some time. It was too good an opportunity to miss. Some planks used to make the catwalk were leaning against the wall. I couldn't see anything useful to do with the planks. Now there's a familiar face. There was no doubt about it. It was the same sort of idol I'd seen in Syria, Baphomet. The Templars had certainly been through here. Oh, great. More dead people. Although the gendarmes weren't likely to pull in any suspects unless they had a time machine. This guy must have been here for centuries. No, thanks. I think I'm carrying enough junk. In the middle of the floor was a weird mosaic, all swirling and distorted. Close up, the pattern didn't make any sort of sense. It fanned out around an axis point, a kind of focus to one side. And there it was, decoded by the curves of the chalice, the image of a church. I found out what the chalice was for.
You've solved the puzzle?
Yeah, there was a distorted picture at the Baphomet site. When I viewed it in the polished surface of the chalice, it changed.
What did it show?
A picture of a church with a square tower. Look at the chalice now, Nico.
What happened? It's shiny.
The priest at Montfaucon buffed it up for me.
That's incredible.
Yeah, looks as good as new.
No. You found a use for a priest. That's incredible.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. That's the face of the statue I saw at the bull's head. That's the lens I found on Klausner's body in the bull's head. That's the tripod we borrowed from the museum. That's the gem that Pegram found in Lochmarn. That's the clue that led me to the statue of Baphomet and the reflection in the chalice. That's the clue that led me to Spain. That's the clue that led me to the bull's head in Syria. I guess I'd better return the chalice to the Countess.
Hurry back, Georges.
I'd been planning to return the chalice anyway, but I hadn't expected the trail to bring me here. The Villa de Vasconcelos was as picturesque as ever. The weather was still clear, and Lopez was still watering the damn lawn. I was beginning to suspect that he was surgically attached to that hose. Hi there, Lopez. How's tricks?
Senor Stobart, how pleasant to see you. You are well.
Fine, thanks. Is the Countess in?
She is waiting for you. I will show you up.
It's okay, I know the way.
Senor Stobart, I feel I owe you an apology.
No, you don't.
I was impolite on our first meeting.
Look, Lopez, just forget about it. I came on like a snake oil merchant. I wouldn't have trusted me in your shoes.
You do not understand. Finding the chalice has given my lady a new lease of life. It's a marvel. She smiles, she laughs. The tradesmen are saying that she is on Prozac.
Lopez, one man and his hose. Hi, Lopez. Got a minute?
Certainly, senor. How can I help you?
So the Countess feels that the curse is lifted.
I would not put it so strongly. Your discovery of the chalice was proof that the Templars never abandoned the de Vasconcelos. It counts for a great deal with my lady.
What's the story behind the chalice vanishing?
When the Inquisition raided, in the absence of Don Carlos, it was believed that they had taken it. Naturally, they denied the charge, as they denied taking the children. And naturally, nobody believed them.
But they were telling the truth. The chalice was hidden from them. You don't suppose they were telling the truth about the children as well, do you?
Madre de Dios! I had not thought of that. But then what happened to them?
I don't know. If the Inquisition didn't take them, then who did?
You must speak to my lady of these.
Count on it. I've had the chalice polished.
Oh, it is magnificent.
Catch you later, Lopez.
Adios, Senor Stobart.
I wasn't going to put on the armor, and I couldn't see anything else to do with it.
Senor Stobart, oh, what a pleasure. Please, sit down.
Hi, Countess. The pleasure's all mine. I've brought back your chalice.
Why? You've had it cleaned.
Yeah, I met an obliging priest with a soft cloth.
Have you resolved the Templar mystery?
No, not yet. I don't even know what it is I'm after.
There are many stories of the knight secreting great wealth away.
Whatever. All I know is I don't want the bad guys to get it.
Ah, to be young and live in a world of moral absolutes.
I discovered something amazing with that chalice. In Paris, I found a church where they recognized the coat of arms. I found the tomb of Don Carlos de Vasconcelos.
You are sure? There can be no mistake?
The coat of arms on the chalice matches the one on the tomb.
Incredible. You have my most profound thanks. I must go there as soon as possible.
Yeah? Well, I'd be happy to show you the city. There's something else that I discovered carved on Don Carlos's tomb. Biblical references.
What are the references, Senor Stobart?
Psalms 32:7, Corinthians.
I am not a good enough scholar to know the Bible chapter and verse. I meant, what are the quotations?
You know, I forgot to ask the priest. There's still the mystery of that missing chess piece.
I do not think that it will ever be discovered unless the fate of the children is revealed.
The Inquisition were suspected of taking the chalice and the kids, right? We know now they were innocent of the first crime. What if
They did not take the children either? Then what happened to them?
the Inquisition admitted to killing Don Carlos's manservant? Now, this guy had been told to protect the kids at all costs, right?
That is correct.
I think he hid them and the chalice when he got wind that the Inquisition was coming. With him dead, and Don Carlos driven mad with grief, there was nobody left who knew the secret. You know what this means, don't you?
I fear so. The children are still here somewhere. If this is so, then it is small wonder that the de Vasconcellos are cursed.
I'll have a look around if that's okay.
My home is your home. I shall remain here.
The Countess de Vasconcellos seemed a lot happier than the last time we met. There was a bookcase, bureau kind of affair. I didn't recognize any of the titles, apart from an ancient edition of Don Quixote. An old grandfather clock stood against the wall. I doubted the Templars had hidden anything in there. It was a large window with shutters. From the window, I could see some sort of balcony. It didn't look like it was used too often. It was a large window with shutters. From the window, I could see the garden, including Lopez, who was still watering the damn thing. There was a boar's head over the fire. It didn't look very happy. Must be hard to look happy when you're wearing a chimney breast. Now what the hell was I going to do with a hogshead? The fire was made up and ready, waiting for the year to turn cold. It was way too warm to light the fire. Military hardware, medieval style. I came here to solve a mystery, not go jousting. Beside the fire was a stack of logs for fuel. Now, what would I want with a bunch of logs? It was just a little utility room with no exit, unless you counted the window, and I didn't. It was the Spanish Bible I borrowed from the mausoleum. Hello again. Here's the Bible from the mausoleum.
Very well. Let us begin. The first reference.
Psalms 32:7.
Thou art my hiding place. Thou shalt preserve me from trouble. Thou shalt compass me about with songs of deliverance. My hiding place.
Don't get your hopes up too high. This might just be leading us to where we found the chalice.
You are right, of course. The next.
Okay, John 4:11.
John 4:11. Here. The well is deep. The next. Quickly.
Okay. Corinthians 4:5.
Here it is. Will bring to light the hidden things. Any more?
Just one. Psalms again. 22:21.
Save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of the unicorns. The last is confusing. Lions, unicorns, what does it mean?
I can't guess.
Salient points seem to be a hiding place and a deep well. In no sense is the mausoleum a well, Senor Stobart.
Is there a well in the grounds?
I do not know. I suppose that there must have been once upon a time. Lopez is the man to ask about anything pertaining to the estate.
I'll just have another look around.
Very well.
Hi, Lopez. Got a minute?
Certainly, senor. How can I help you?
You must know just about everything that there is to know about this place.
See, I have lived my whole life here in the service of the De Vasconcelos.
Do you know of a well anywhere around here?
Well, si, senor. This used to be a fortified villa. How can you last a siege without water?
Great! So where is it?
How should I know? The well was covered over in the last century. It was dangerous, you see.
And you have no idea where it was?
None. It was hidden even before my grandfather's time.
Well, you must have a vague idea of where the well is.
It must have been in the old house's courtyard, so that would put it around here.
Here? Okay. Now, how do we find it?
There might be a way. Let me think about it.
Any ideas yet?
Not as yet, Senor Stobart. I shall give it more thought.
Any ideas yet?
Not as yet, Senor Stobart. I shall give it more thought.
Catch you later, Lopez.
Adios, Senor Stobart.
Hello again. Mind if I sit?
Please, be my guest.
I'll have a look around if that's okay.
My home is your home. I shall remain here.
Now what the hell was I going to do with a hog's head? I wasn't going to put on the armor, and I couldn't see anything else to do with it. Hi, Lopez. Got a minute?
Certainly, senor. How can I help you?
Any ideas yet?
Not as yet, Senor Stobart. I shall give it more thought.
Catch you later, Lopez.
Adios, Senor Stobart.
I didn't want to mess with the building. I couldn't reach up there. It was too delicate to move. A big statuette of the Virgin Mary kept an eye on the place. It was a rod with a cone and a hook on the end. I guessed it was for snuffing out the big candle in the chandelier. Hanging from the ceiling was a huge yellowed candle. It looked really old and had never been lit. The mausoleum contained 5 tombs for 5 of the Knights Templar, man-size in marble. George Stobart, grave robber. No, I don't think so. High up in the dome were windows. I guess they might open them to make it less stuffy in there. It looked kind of sinister. The statue on the top of the building looked like the one in the Parisian church. He seemed to be looking out to sea. For what? I wasn't about to go clambering on rooftops if I didn't have to. Down below the estate, I could see the sea stretching away. It was a beautiful sight, and looked a lot like the scene from the manuscript. I wanted to go swimming, but I didn't have the time. The candle had burnt brilliantly, but only for a couple of minutes. Some kind of special formulation, I guess. And had yielded up this. A complex shape expertly cut in stone. I figured it was some kind of key. The tissue was pretty charred, but the grease paint had done most of the burning. It was a smooth, intricately carved piece of stone that had been concealed inside the great candle.
Hi, Lopez.
Got a minute?
Certainly, senor. How can I help you?
Do you know what this is?
No, senor. Is it some kind of key?
Yeah, I think it probably is.
Where did you get it?
It was hidden inside the big candle in the mausoleum.
And you burnt it? I wondered what the light was I saw through the window. My lady will be furious. The candle was centuries old.
Ah. Any ideas yet?
We are looking for a source of water, see?
Yes.
For generations, the Spanish country folk have had a secret way of locating water, even if it is meters beneath the ground.
Ah, you're not talking about water dousing, are you?
Eh?
You know, you get a stick and walk around until the stick twitches and dig there.
Oh, you've heard of it.
Yeah, I think most of the planet has. Okay, let's get a stick.
Uno momento. It must be a special stick, a Y of hazel.
Right. Do you have any hazel trees?
See, here. That is hazel.
Do you know what this is?
No, senor. Is it some kind of key?
Yeah, I think it probably is.
Where did you get it?
It was hidden inside the big candle in the mausoleum.
And you burnt it? I wondered what the light was I saw through the window. My lady will be furious. The candle was centuries old.
Ah. Catch you later, Lopez.
Adios, Senor Stobar.
Hello again. What do you make of this?
It looks like some sort of key. Where did you get it from?
It was buried inside the great candle in the mausoleum.
Inside it. What have you done to it?
I, lit it.
But it is irreplaceable.
Listen, the candle was to be lit in case of Moorish attack, right? Well, it burnt down in no time and revealed this key thing. Maybe that was the real purpose of lighting the candle.
What are you suggesting?
That lighting the candle was the equivalent of break glass in case of emergency.
Sentiment must not stand in the way of solving this mystery. You did the right thing.
What does this charred tissue suggest to you?
You have pyromaniac tendencies?
What do you make of this?
It is the stone key that you showed me earlier, is it not?
I'll just have another look around.
Very well.
It was way too warm to light the fire. Now, what would I want with a bunch of logs? I came here to solve a mystery, not go jousting. It was just a little utility room with no exit, unless you counted the window, and I didn't. The mirror from Lopez's utility room. Yep, I was still looking great. No. I wasn't going to put on the armor, and I couldn't see anything else to do with it. It looked a lot like a hazel tree. I went over to find a suitable stick. Aha! Nope, I wasn't going to screw around with Lopez's hose, now that we were getting on so well. Hi, Lopez. Got a minute?
Certainly, senor. How can I help you?
I borrowed your mirror. I hope you don't mind.
No, senor. If you think it will be of help.
Well, I got my divining rod. Now what?
Simplicity itself, senor. Hold the wand at the upper ends of the Y. Apply a little tension with your wrists so that the slightest movement of the wand's tip is clear, and walk slowly and steadily over the area.
Sounds easy enough. We'll find this well in no time.
Senor Stobart, you've found something.
This is it. This is where we find the secret of the Templars. Hidden here for hundreds of years. Lost from the sight of man until now. The mystery is revealed.
It's a tin can.
I've been walking up and down with a twig in my hands, looking for a tin can.
It had water in it. That's what the dowsing stick must have detected.
I'd have to check with an archaeologist, but I don't think the Templars left that.
In truth, Senor Stobart, the loan was laid many, many years ago. This can could date back to the Napoleonic Wars.
Get rid of it and I'll try it again. Lopez threw the can away. It seemed to fall an awfully long way. The splash at the end confirmed what we both suspected. Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle.
It has been here all the time. All those years and nobody found it.
Stood in awe for a moment, marveling at the secrets all around us.
I could have fallen down that.
The well had been lost for decades at least. The air was cool after the noon sun, but that's not what gave me goosebumps. I have a really, really bad feeling about this. Thinking back to how long it had taken the can to fall to the bottom, I stayed as far from the edge as I could. It was a long way down. The brilliant midday sun shone almost directly down the shaft, and I still couldn't see the water. I'd already risked my neck with one death-defying leap in Syria. I wasn't about to push my luck again. Sometime in antiquity, there'd been a rock slide. Big ones. I wished I'd had a hard hat. I'd need tools to move all that stuff. Heavy equipment that just wasn't available. A great stone lion's head with a gaping maw full of fangs. As far as I knew, nobody had cast eyes upon it for centuries as it stood, waiting in the cool shadows. The words of the psalm kept running through my head. saved me from the lion's mouth. From a distance, the lion's head had been impressive. Close up, it was frightening. Hey, one of the fangs is a separate piece. I could hear the sound of a lot of stone moving, and I knew I was in danger.
Signor Snowman! Signor Snowman! Are you all right? Signor Snowman!
Hi, Lopez. Got a minute?
Certainly, senor. How can I help you?
Well, I got my divining rod. Now what?
Simplicity itself, senor. Hold the wand at the upper ends of the Y. Apply and walk.
Sound.
Senor Stobart, you've found something.
This is it. This is where we find the secret of the Templars. Hidden here for hundreds of years. Lost from the sight of man until now. The mystery is I'd have to check
In this
Lopez. The splat. Well, I
it has
stood in.
I
The well had been lost for decades at least. The air was cool after the noon sun, but that's not what gave me goosebumps. I have a really, really bad feeling about this. From a distance, the lion's close. Hey! I could hear the sound of a lot of stone moving, and I knew I was in danger. Oh, very funny, you psychos!
Senor Stobart! Senor Stobart! Are you all right?
It's okay, Lopez, I'm fine!
Hey, tutto via dada! You gave me a scare!
Nice try, Templars. In the deep shadows, it was hard to make anything out. I wished that I had Leary's flashlight now. It just felt like a pitted stone wall. I'd almost been killed for the sake of a red herring. I wished that I had Leary's flashlight. I'd almost... Sometime in antiquity, there'd been a rock slide. Big ones. I wished I'd had a hard hat. I'd need tools to move all that stuff. Heavy equipment that just wasn't available. Hi, Lopez. There's something I'd like to talk to you about.
Certainly, senor. How can I help you?
It's really dark down there. Do you have a flashlight or something?
No. I broke my torch only last month.
Damn. It's so bright up here, but the light's just not getting into the corners.
See, the light, it goes in straight lines.
Catch you later, Lopez.
Adios, Senor Stobar.
There, in the middle of the door, I could see some kind of socket. It looked like this wasn't quite the dead end it had seemed. Now I knew what I was looking for. It only took a few moments to find it. And there it was, a worked socket, as smooth and perfect as if it had been carved only yesterday. Open sesame! Another secret door. Before I left, though, there was one last thing to do. You won't be needing that replacement piece anymore, Countess. I found it with the children. You'll probably want to be alone for a while. I'll be out in the garden with Lopez.
George, welcome back.
Come in, George. It's good to see you again.
Is it?
Sure. What did you find in Spain?
Without Andre, we wouldn't have got this far, George.
Yeah, I know. The clues led to an underground chamber at the bottom of a well. The Templars had left a tapestry showing a chessboard. The white pieces were vastly outnumbered. There was a stream running across the board, and a Templar knight on a horse.
Does it mean anything to you, Andre?
No, nothing.
Maybe we should tell Andre what else you found, George.
There's a map and a Latin inscription to the west at the edge of the world.
George found that in a cave in Syria.
Yeah, where the assassin almost killed me.
Then we've got the burning of Jacques de Molay and the date, 1314.
From the window of the church in Montfaucon Square, one of the few places where nobody tried to kill me.
Then we have the image of a church that George found at the excavation. I don't recall anyone trying to kill you there either, George.
And finally we have the tapestry in Spain. Did I mention I almost got killed there?
Not yet, but I'm sure you're about to.
It was only my cat-like reflexes that saved me from certain death.
Cat-like reflexes, eh?
And while I was risking life and limb, where were you, Andre? Getting your glasses fogged up over an Etruscan vase?
That's enough, boys. Can we get back to saving the world?
Of course. My apologies.
He started it.
Well, the Latin phrase are the words of Julius Caesar. He was describing the island of Britain.
Are you sure? The map didn't look much like Britain.
How come Caesar described Britain as being at the edge of the world?
To the Romans, the Mediterranean was the center of the universe. Britain was a remote, unfriendly place, inhabited by blue-painted savages.
It hasn't changed much,
They've stopped painting themselves blue.
except when they go to a football match.
They used an extract from a plant called woad, Isetis tinctoria. The Scots were using it until fairly recently in the wars with the English.
Fairly recently? I don't recall the Scots being at war with the English. How recently are you talking about?
I believe William Wallace's men used it in the 13th century. They might well have been using it as late as...
You can't remember, can you?
1314.
Ah, we're back onto that, are we?
André, what is it? What do you mean?
1314 in Scotland. The Battle of Bannockburn.
That would explain the stream on the chessboard. That's what a burn is. Right, Andre? As in Bannockburn?
Right, George. And it gets better. Tradition has it that the Scots were helped by a shock force of, well, can't you guess?
Knights Templar?
Yes, a group of outlawed Templars. They are said to have turned the tide for the Scots.
And it all ends at a church in the Isle of Britain at Bannockburn in a church.
What are we waiting for? I'll call a cab.
I can't go.
Andre, you've been loads of help, but
What George is trying to say is that you shouldn't feel guilty.
I was.
We understand you've got commitments. Oh, listen, we have to hurry. Let's go, George.
We'll see it through. Oh, and, don't worry about us.
Oh, it must be dawn.
Oh, I guess so. And we must be nearly there. Somewhere, out there in the dark, is Scotland. We've come a long way together to get here.
Yeah. Let's hope it was worth it.
Do you want to look after this ticket?
Not me. I don't want to get involved with the British Railways official.
Hard to believe this thing saved my life.
I'll buy you a new one when we get back.
I wonder if there ever was a Thomas Merlin.
Didn't I tell you? I checked. There wasn't.
I wonder where Khan is now.
Forget about him. He must be miles away.
I've still got the clown's nose.
So I see. You should throw it away, George.
This thing has got me out of a few scrapes.
Maybe I should get one.
There's something I've been meaning to say to you, Nico.
Is this the right time and place, George?
There might not be another time. I don't want to waste this chance.
You don't need to say anything. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But here, with you. Now.
You're exhausted. Why don't you get some sleep?
Sleep? At a time like this?
Excited, huh?
Would you like something to help you sleep, dearie? I've got some tablets in my bag.
Oh, no. Thank you.
Thanks all the same, ma'am. She was as beautiful as ever, but the shadows beneath her eyes marked the strain of the last few days. The old lady reminded me of my grandmother, except, of course, that this old lady was still alive. Pardon me.
Yes, my dear.
Do you know what time we're due in Sterling?
6:15, but we're running 8 minutes late.
Do you know Sterling well?
Yes, I do. Is that where you two lovebirds abound?
Yeah,
It's one of the places we thought we'd see on our holiday.
Be sure to visit the castle, won't you?
Oh, I'm sure it's a neat place, but we are not really interested in history, are we, George?
no.
I suppose espresso bars and boogie-woogie are more your cup of tea.
That's right. There's nothing George enjoys more than a good boogie.
Is there a church called St. Ninian's at Sterling?
Yes, there is, and I know why you're going there.
You do?
Of course I do. It's obvious you're in love. You're eloping, and they say romance is dead.
What's the book you're reading?
Oh, it's something I picked up at the station. A medieval detective story. Quite well written for that kind of thing. It's been out of print for years.
What's the title of the book?
The Crooked Crusader Caper by Molly Pegram. I assumed the author was a woman, but apparently not. His real name is...
Professor Nigel Pegram.
That's right. Do you know him?
No, I never met him.
George is a great fan of his, though.
Does the name Merlin mean anything to you?
Merlin, a master of illusions. Oh, you said Merlin? Then no, nothing.
Do you know what this is?
Yes, I do. A young friend of mine shook my hand with one just the other day.
Yeah? Well, that's outrageous. He should be shot.
Perhaps. Still, his intentions were good.
Would you believe that this clown's nose led us to being on this train tonight?
I would indeed.
No, honestly, You would?
Certainly. You have an honest face.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
A manhole lifting key.
You knew that?
Of course. I never leave home without one.
You're joking.
What use would an old lady have for such a thing?
Have you ever seen this man before?
An interesting looking fellow.
Interesting. He's a killer.
And that's not interesting?
Where are you going, George?
Do I need to spell it out?
Don't snap at me. If you're going to take a leak, why don't you say so?
Okay, I'm going to take a leak. L-E-A-K.
Tickets, please.
Oh, hi.
That's a standard full-price peak return. Don't you have a senior citizen's rail card?
I rarely travel by train. My ticket is perfectly valid, is it not?
Well, yeah, but you could have saved up to a third of the cost.
I do not need to indulge in puffling thriftiness.
Blimey, you're a funny old bird and no mistake. Tickets, please, sir.
Here.
Off to Sterling, eh?
Yes, we are.
Well, I hope you won't be disappointed. It's a miserable place this time of year. Still, there's plenty of pubs and a lovely view from the castle.
Thank you.
I don't want to worry you, but there was something familiar about that guy.
Are you sure? You're tired. Perhaps you're mistaken.
Maybe. But I didn't like the look in his eyes when he spoke to you.
Can't you sit still, George?
I need to go to the John.
While you're there, check out the buffet car, George. Unthinkable though it is, I am hungry enough to eat English food.
Okay.